sure you've had far greater challenges in wherever you might be listening from to us today. But we're very grateful, to be here with AppliedHE and with our Afghan organizing partners. I suggest we just kick it off now, starting with the opening remarks by Dr. Barula Safi, the Chancellor of Mqa University. I'm sure I said that wrong. He will tell you the correct pronunciation, and he also has a wonderful country report prepared for all of you curious about what is going on in Afghanistan at the moment. The floor is all yours, Dr. Safi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Am I audible, right?
I hear you very well.
Yeah. It's my pleasure to welcome all the participants today for this international webinar about the impact of higher education ranking on universities. I welcome all the eminent speakers, keynote speakers, Dr. Kevin Doing, Secretary to Council and Co-Director in Institutional Research Office from Hong Kong, Ms. Mandy Mok, CEO and founder AppliedHE. From Singapore, Mr. Peter Steck, Chief Analyst, AppliedHE from Singapore, Professor Dato Mr. Muhammad Shatar Sabran, Chief Executive Officer of Malaysian Qualifications Agency from Malaysia, Professor Muhammad Al-Vedian, President of Oman Arab University from Jordan, Dr. Dain Equity, Head Planning and Development Board Universities, Erlangga from Indonesia, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the West Institute of Higher Education, Dr. Nur Khalif Nur, respected teachers of the West Institute of Higher Education, our staff, and all the participants from the private universities and government universities of Afghanistan, and also the other participants from different parts of the world, especially from our partners universities. This is the first AppliedHE Exchanging in its international webinar, which is on the title of the impact of higher education ranking system on universities in Afghanistan, which we are having right now on our digital platform. I would like to introduce myself also a little bit. This is Dr. Barula Safi, Chancellor at Mirwais Naqvi Institute of Higher Education, Afghanistan. I would also talk about a little bit about the institutions that introduction of our institution. Mirwais Naqvi Institute of Higher Education has been established by the Department of Private Universities and Institutions of the Ministry of Higher Education in accordance with the provisions of Article 2 of the Constitutions of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. It started operating in Kandahar as a higher scientific educational institutions with official license and registration. The organization carries out its visions and missions where Mirwais Naqvi Institute of Higher Education wants to solve the community problems in the field of science and research at the local level, and also it strives to provide academic stuff in the field of education and research to the community. At the present, we have got 3,500 active students in 4 different schools with 45 classes and 88 professional lecturers. We have got a teaching hospital, legal clinics, PDC, and also a school, and it's a group of institutions. So Mirwais Naqvi Institute of all the universities, especially the private universities of Afghanistan, which participated in this international webinar. And I'm very sure that this is going to be not the last webinar, and it is going to be the first stone towards collaborations and academic collaborations with your company and with the different stakeholders. I have a small presentation, so I would like to give that present that presentation if I'm allowed to share my screen, where to talk about the higher education in Afghanistan and what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities we have, and how many private universities we have in Afghanistan and how many public universities we have in Afghanistan, and so on. So so am I able to share my screen, right? Yeah.
I believe you are, and if not, our technical support will enable it right now.
Yeah, it's yeah, I can share, I think. So yeah, can I continue, right?
Yes, please continue. Please press screen share so we can see the whole thing, or the full screen on your presentation.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Just give me 1 second.
We can see your screen, so it's no problem. It's just that the slide is a bit smaller than ideal. But if this works, I think this is fine. We can just continue.
Where is slideshow? Yeah, it's fine, I think.
Bottom right hand side, there's the icon, the first from the right at the bottom, just near the volume. If you click on that, you'll get a full slide.
Yes. So let's start with the.
We can't see your presentation now. Please share it again, because I think it's very informative. And even if you can't make it full screen.
I'm sharing the full screen. It's not showing. So then I have to, yeah, is that okay now?
No, you're not sharing screen. You're not sharing screen. This is the Zoom part of sharing screen that's not doing it right now.
Just give me a second. Yeah, it's
Okay, you're sharing.
yeah, I'm sharing. Yeah, is that okay now? Yeah, it's
blank.
sharing. Yeah. Is that okay now?
On my side, it's still blank.
It's a blank screen.
Is it fine now?
There's no screen. Nothing is being shared. I think you maybe reshare and then. Or it's a blank screen. You've reached the end of your presentation.
Ah, okay.
Oh. So you can see your email now. I don't know if that's intended. Is it?
Yeah, just give a second. Just
okay. If it's going to be a big problem, we maybe do Mandy first, and then we quickly come back to the country report. If it seems to be a major technical thing.
Give me a second, please.
Mandy, you're standing by with your presentation, right? Just in case.
That's right.
I don't know why it's doing like this. Just
okay.
I will just.
Shall I share?
Oh.
Wait. Yeah.
Okay.
Safi, you want to send me, email me?
Is that working now?
Yeah.
Yes, we have it.
Yeah,
okay,
so
I think just leave it like this. Leave it like this and go for it.
Yeah, we'll go like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this presentation is basically about higher education in Afghanistan and where we stand right now in this time, and what are the opportunities we have in the higher education, and what are the weaknesses, and what are the strengths, and how many universities are there in Afghanistan, and how many government universities are there, and what is the status of the universities right now in Afghanistan, where I'm sure that the world is very keen to know this, and because of the current political situation in Afghanistan. So as you see in the slide, we have got private universities in Afghanistan, where the total 127 private universities we have in Afghanistan, where the 64 private universities are only in Kabul. So the highest number of private universities we have in Kabul, and then we have got 1, 2, 3, maximum 5 to 6 universities in other cities of Afghanistan. Like for example, in Kandahar, we have got 5 private universities. Same like in Badakhshan, like we have got only 1 private universities. In like we have in Helmand 3 private universities. In Herat, which is again the second largest city, we have got 8 private universities. Same way, so the total universities right now operating in Afghanistan, there are 127 universities actively functioning, and they are open, and students are studying right now in Afghanistan. So these private universities, basically, most of them are only offering bachelor courses. The private universities in Afghanistan, 80% of them are only offering bachelor courses. They do not have masters. Minimum, only few universities, especially in Kabul, they offer masters programs. If we talk about the government universities in Afghanistan, we have got 39 government universities in Afghanistan. Like in Afghanistan, we are having 36 cities. Like in Afghanistan, we don't have states, we have cities. We have 36 cities, where in this 26 cities, we have got 39 universities. Again, the more universities are in Kabul because it's the capital of Afghanistan. And these 39 universities are again classified with, according to their capacity and according to their academic ranking. Some of them are universities, some of them are only Institute of Higher Education. University means that if organized institution has more than 5 different schools, so then they are going to be named or called universities. If they have less than 5 schools or 5 faculty or departments, we call them institute in Afghanistan. For example, like Mqa Institute of Higher Education, so we have got only 3 schools. Like we have medical school, we have law and political science, and we have management studies. So in case if we go for another 2 courses, like if we give the license for engineering and computer science, then it's going to be called a university. So it is like that. Let's talk about the certain strength in Afghanistan right now in last 20 years, especially what we have got in the field of higher education. One thing that we have is we have got in last 20 years very academic and qualified professors and human resource capital. We have seen that Afghanistan in last 20 years established very strong relationship with different countries in the world, especially with the neighboring countries and European countries, especially with US and other countries. So these countries basically offer lots of scholarships, and the student of Afghanistan in this last 20 years had the opportunity to avail these scholarships, and they went to different countries and studied. For example, myself, I also studied in India. So I studied my bachelor, my master's, my PhD, and I came back to my country in order to serve my country. So same way, like me, I'm a good example with this. So same way, lots of young generation, young people, young minds, they avail the scholarships of different countries and studied and came back. So with them, we have created a very strong managerial and qualified academicians and people. If we talk about 20 years, we didn't have, even in Kandahar, 15 years ago, we were not able to find a graduate. 15 years ago, when we established the university, we were struggling to find a graduate to hire him as a lecturer. But right now, we have thousands of qualified masters and even PhD holders. So this is a great development that we had in last 20 years. So then we have in last 20 years came with lots of different programs. We know that Afghanistan in last 20 years, especially after 2002, so there were very few universities which were offering only medical courses. Private universities were not there. So lots of private universities, like 127 private university is basically the achievement of last 20 years in Afghanistan. These universities are basically offering different courses in management, political sciences, in design, in journalism, in health sciences, in education. So this is a wonderful achievement that we had in last 20 years, and still it's going on. And the government and these universities are working to open, to launch new courses, especially which is the demand of the world, which is the demand of the time. Then we had got brilliant students in the last 20 years. If you see that 15 years ago or 10 years ago, we had very minimum students in the schools. We didn't have, even in a medical class, we didn't have even more than 10, 20 students. But right now we have amazing and great number of students. For example, we have a general, a national level entry exam for the government universities. Students who would like to study in government universities, they have to appear in a national level exam. 15, 20 years ago, I don't exactly have the data, but very minimum people, like maybe 10,000, 5,000 students across Afghanistan were there. But right now it is in lakhs. So that shows strong development in the number of students in the sector of higher education. Then we have different sources. We were very limited in terms of connectivity, in terms of collaborations and academic research. But right now we have a strong collaboration, especially Afghanistan, with the neighboring countries, especially with the European countries. There are lots of joint projects we are working on. Different universities are having different collaborations. Even with some of the universities, they are having exchange program where students study 1 or 2 years in Afghanistan and the last year in the foreign country. So that is another biggest source that we have. Then we have sources in terms of technology, sources in terms of connectivity, sources in terms of collaborations. Let's talk about the weaknesses. For sure, when there is a strength, it's obvious that there's a weaknesses also. Responsibility is one aspect that still we are lacking, because we are still working on education. We are still not called an educated country, because the number of literacy, if you see the percentage of literacy, is comparatively very, very low compared to the neighboring countries. So still there is a need of more education in order to boost the responsibility in terms of in terms of any kind of management, in terms of higher education, in terms of any sector. So there is a lack of responsibility in some way. Then we have documentation process, especially in Afghanistan, is very tough. It's a very lengthy, time-taking. It is not so easy. Like it's my own experience in some countries. Most of the universities are autonomous body. They are in a position to issue a certificate, to issue a degree, to do everything of their own. But in Afghanistan, it is not like that. Everything is controlled by the Ministry of Higher Education. Even you can't issue a certificate. Everything. You are just a name by a private university. Rest you are controlled by the government. Technology, lack of knowledge of using technology is another concern. Though in the last 2 years of during the pandemic, lots of private universities and government universities, they have learned the using of technologies, latest technology. Especially in the last few years, we have internet, we have 4G internet, we have lots of technologies, companies, products here in Afghanistan, but still there is a lack of certified, experienced and trained certified resources in terms of using technologies. So there is a lack, still lack. So there's a need of more education to learn the new technologies, to understand the new technologies, to apply the new technologies in Afghanistan. Then we have lack of research on social affairs. Research is another concern that where there is a lack of research. There is no comprehensive research in terms of when it comes to social affairs. So there is a need to do more research in these terms. Then we have certain other problems, which is basically came from out of administration's problems that is everywhere, but that is not the issue of a concern. Then we have a lack of academic and financial freedom. Financial freedom is another problem where all the universities, especially public universities, they don't have financial freedom, and the budget is given by the Ministry of Higher Education. So that these are few weaknesses that right now we have. Like another weakness, we can say placement. Like we don't have lots of international MNCs in Afghanistan to hire our graduates, to hire our students. Even especially Afghanistan also, government also doesn't have that capacity to hire all the graduates from the universities in Afghanistan. So placement is another issue where we are lacking, and looking forward to increase the placement number of the students in Afghanistan, in the MNCs, in the companies, or overseas. We have got obviously certain opportunities also. The positive attitude is there. Still, we are going across political handover, a political change in the country, but still the people are positive in some way. Still, the universities are open. Students are going to the classes and they still study. So it shows that still there is a positive attitude. Then we have got a national and international partnership is another opportunities that we have. Lots of universities, like even like our university in Kandahar, we have more than 56 international collaborations and more than 100 national collaborations, being just an institute of higher education. So then we have got supports, government support is the new government. They came and they meet us, and they also ensured us to function smoothly, and they ensured that they will soon support us. But still, we are waiting for, and let's see what the new government is doing in terms of our education. Then there is another opportunity is we have a great number of students who are looking for masters and PhD programs, especially in private universities. Some of the universities are trying to find out the ways in order to launch master's programs for the students. For example, I'm very sure that if we launch a master's programs in Kandahar, we will have a very huge number of students who will be enrolled. Then let's go for, we have some traits also, that is lack of fund. We are going across, we are experiencing basically a financial crisis in Afghanistan at the moment due to the current political changes in the country. So definitely when there is no funds, private university obviously will face certain issues and financial crisis. So with this, we are trying to overcome and minimize our expenses in order to overcome the fund and financial crisis problems in Afghanistan. Again, we have lack of enough budgeting in order to buy or facilitate huge and advanced technologies, advanced infrastructures. Again, it's depends on the budgeting and funding if in case we get. Then we have lacking of management evaluation systems. We have a few management systems, and we have certain companies and institutions which are basically looking after quality assurance. But still, we need more number of institutions in order to work in the area of quality assurance. Then we have a few other traits. So this is basically data of the population of Afghanistan. we have got 32.9 million population, showing the data of 2020-2021. We have got the number of students, almost 3,87,946 students are right now in Afghanistan studying in the private and government universities, whereas 7,994 students are male and 1,08,852 students are female. Then we have got almost 18,998 professors, where 2,617 are female and 16,381 are male faculties, showing the data of 2019. So this is the data. Yeah, thank you so much. This is a very brief information about the education system in Afghanistan right now. I'm very sure that there is a lot to talk about, but considering the time limitations, so I try to keep it very short and very brief. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Safi, the Chancellor of Mirwais Nika Institute of Higher Education, for this wonderful introduction of Afghanistan, where unfortunately we cannot be in person, but we thanks for your presentation. We feel like we're almost there, in spirit at least. And now it's the turn of Mandy Mock, the CEO and founder of AppliedHE, for her opening remarks and her presentation. Go ahead, Mandy.
Right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay, right. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the AppliedHE Launch Exchange for Afghanistan. It's great to be in a new country, albeit virtually, and to see so many new friends, including some old ones as well. Thank you very much for your support. In addition to Afghanistan, we have been very active on the online space, organizing launch events like this for countries around the world, from Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Indonesia, Jordan, the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa, Taiwan, Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and recently Thailand, with Russia, Nepal, Sri Lanka, South Africa, Korea, Japan, and China in the pipeline. The AppliedHE Exchange is an opportunity for us to give you a flavor of what AppliedHE has to offer, and in exchange, to better understand the issues that you are facing in Afghanistan. I'm very grateful to our host, Mirwais Nika University, especially Dr. Barula Safi, Chancellor, and Dr. Noor Khalik Noor, Vice Chancellor. Great appreciation for your support and efforts. Appreciation also to the keynote speakers, Dr. Kevin Downing, who is the Secretary to Council and Court and Director of Institutional Research Office from the City University of Hong Kong, and Professor Dr. Muhammad Shatta Sabran, Chief Executive Officer of Malaysian Qualifications Agency, MQA. And to our group of panelists, Professor Muhammad Al-Widin, he is the President of the Amman Arab University from Jordan, and Dr. Dian Ekowati, Head of Global Engagement from the Universitas Airlangga from Indonesia, including Dr. Kevin Downing and Dr. Shatta, who will be joining the panel discussion as well. And our very own Peter Stack, who will not only deliver the introduction and methodology of the AppliedHE ratings and rankings, but also double up as MC and moderator for the panel discussion. And finally, thanks to you, the audience, from across Afghanistan and beyond, thank you for joining us today. As this is the first time we're hosting an event in Afghanistan, and also universities in Afghanistan are relatively new to global activities, we feel a certain connection to them, as we at AppliedHE are also the new kid on the block. So to give you a quick background, I created and launched AppliedHE in January of 2020 after an almost 20-year career at QS, with the aim of creating an alternative solution in ranking, rating, and branding that better serves the need of more learning and employability-focused applied universities, which I believe are dominant all over the world. At the same time, the solutions AppliedHE offers are compatible with other rankings out there. It is not an either-or choice. AppliedHE can help you with international branding and marketing, student recruitment, benchmarking, and a range of other solutions. Because AppliedHE is the new kid on the block, we are nimbler, hungrier, more sensitive to your needs and ready with a whole suite of exciting and innovative services. At the same time, my team, who are also veterans from QS, and I are highly experienced in this sector. So we have an unparalleled track record that speaks for itself. So without further ado, let's get started. We have produced AppliedHE as a fresh, modern, and totally relevant concept in benchmarking and branding of higher education institutions, offering solutions that's focused on employability and learning. As mentioned, AppliedHE was launched on 1st January of 2020, so we're still very young. And now you have an alternative choice from what is currently available in the market. A globally oriented higher education, evaluation, and branding company that is rooted in Asia and which aims to positively disrupt the global higher education sector. You'll find that our tagline for the company aptly amplifies that: skills and job ready, future proof. And our strength lies in reaching out not only to academics, but also include stakeholders from industry, civil society, government, students, parents, alumni, faculty, basically everybody. I'll introduce the company AppliedHE and all our initiatives, from evaluation tools, that's the set of ratings, to building your global reputation and networking solutions, and of course, our special events and special projects. All these creative strategies will help your institution achieve not only global, but also local visibility and branding with all your stakeholders quickly and cost effectively. AppliedHE is the new brand for all skills-based employment-focused education, and our mission is designed to help universities to communicate with your stakeholders, engage with your international and local peers, industry, and government, brand your institution worldwide, including improving in the rankings. And our vision is to be the dominant brand that empowers employability and lifelong learning. I've grouped the initiatives into 4 segments. Let's start with evaluation tools. When we first started the company in January 2020, we only had one product, and that is the Job Ready rating. Today, I'm pleased to say AppliedHE has 3 rating systems. We have the all-round Job Ready rating system to evaluate the quality of teaching and learning and employability of your graduates. An English Ready rating to evaluate the quality of English language as a medium of instruction in non-English speaking countries. And it is also a great marketing tool for the recruitment of international students as well. And the Online Ready rating, which helps your institution benchmark and promote its online programs and courses. This set of ratings not only serve as benchmarking tools, but they're also effective and affordable marketing tools for your institution. They can benchmark your institution's performance for quality improvement, as our criteria are relevant and implementation is relatively quick. And it is not just a rating per se, it also provides market intelligence so that you can make informed decisions and strategies without having to go for expensive market consultancies. As a marketing tool, it can quickly communicate to your stakeholders your institution's excellence and quality. The fact that you are affiliated with the AppliedHE brand also shows that you are job and skills ready, future-proof. Basically, the ratings are a great tool to meet your institution's quest for global branding and excellence. So the AppliedHE Job Ready rating is so versatile that it can be applied to not only universities, but also suitable for professional institutions. And by that, we mean the vocational, the TVETs, polytechnics, and colleges. It's also suitable for business schools and online education. The Job Ready rating is aimed at evaluating professional education, such as engineering, nursing, medicine, law, accounting, art and design, media, basically any program that involves industry collaboration. And we do it differently. Here's the new perspective, the creative twist. We do not do a rating of your institution per se. We rate your institution based on your programs by employment cluster. This means we can now bring a spotlight to your every program, regardless of whether it's big or small. And currently, there is no marketing tool in the market to help you achieve this. Take, for example, the employment cluster healthcare. The mainstream subjects that fall under healthcare are your medicine, dentistry, and nursing. But what about the smaller ones like radiology, physiotherapy, and even hospital administration? Now with the AppliedHE Job Ready Ratings methodology, we can bring the global spotlight to your every program, whether it's big or small. This is the employment cluster adapted from the International Standard Industrial Classification. There are 22 of them, and it covers all sectors of the economy. And this list is growing daily because the world is changing so fast that there are many jobs out there today that never existed in the past. Jobs like these: e-commerce, gaming, coding, social media marketing, influencer, blogger, just to name a few. And these are not even proper words in the past, but today they are reputable and very much sought after jobs. And our unique approach to rating by employment clusters can accommodate these new jobs and the new economy. You'll note that many of our criteria overlaps with the goals of the SDGs, and our rating is done primarily by surveys to your stakeholders like your students, faculty, employers, and alumni. So what this means is you will have access to market intelligence of your key stakeholders, and these information are very relevant to your strategies, future plans, internal decision-making, KPIs, etc. And it is market intelligence that you do not have to pay a hefty sum for, as it comes as part of the ratings. This is all part of our effort to help you stretch your budget as much as possible. Once rated, you will be presented with the AppliedHE Job Ready Ratings badge, and you can use it on all your marketing materials. The ratings are awarded by employment cluster, and the country of origin is clearly stated so that stakeholders are clear on the market that you serve. Now, this is very important as employment and jobs differ in each country. There are 3 levels that you can score: job ready with merit, and the highest is job ready with distinction. And the rating badges are valid for 3 years. You'll also receive a certificate listing the score and all the evaluated programs. So this means even your smallest program will be able to share the global limelight. The job ready ratings will help to associate your institution with quality of teaching and learning and employability of your graduates. Now let's look at the AppliedHE English Ready Rating. It's a great tool to evaluate an institution's English medium of instruction readiness. As you know, many universities around the world now offer programs in English, but the level and completeness of English language instruction varies greatly, especially for universities from non-English speaking countries which offer English language degree programs. So to summarize, the AppliedHE English Ready Rating is a useful internal benchmarking tool and a great marketing tool for the recruitment of international students. The English Ready Rating enables you to rate the extent and quality of instruction in English, not just for individual programs, but also suitable for departments and/or institutions. It's a great tool for international benchmarking of EMI and identifying strengths and weaknesses. It's also an effective tool for the recruitment of international students. And of course, the surveys help you to understand your stakeholders' perception of EMI. Once rated, you will receive a badge and a certificate, which you can use on all your marketing materials and let the world know that your programs are English ready. I'm pleased to say that we've completed the pilot with universities from Vietnam, Taiwan, and Indonesia. The third rating is for online programs. In today's environment, online degrees are an increasingly appealing alternative to traditional on-campus programs. Online learning is here to stay, and even if things go back to normal, it won't be the normal that we know, but the new normal, which is why we need to be ahead of the curve now, as there is a huge demand for online courses. The future is going to be a hybrid mix of online and physical attendance, and the earlier we're ready for it, the better. The benefits of being online ready rated are many. First, it enables your institution to have a global benchmark and understand better how others' online programs are performing. It's also a great marketing and branding tool to attract not only domestic, but also international students, as it helps to demonstrate your institution's online ready learning to a global audience. And with this rating, you can understand your stakeholders' perceptions of the different aspects of online learning so that you can create relevant strategies to meet their needs. Once rated, you'll also receive a certificate and a badge to let your stakeholders know that your institution is online ready. So now we come to the second group of initiatives, and that is our strategies for global reputation and networking. We recently launched Future in January. Future is the world's first professional networking platform created specially for the higher education sector. We have the physical and virtual events under the brand Xchange, and we also have an e-newswire called Extra Extra, now indexed by Google News. Future was launched on the 20th of January of this year. It is the world's first professional networking platform specially designed for the higher education sector, and Future aims to connect everyone from high school to professional career to lifelong learning for the 3 E's: education, employment, and everything in between. These are the most important career milestones in life, from the moment you are a high school student to being a student in higher education, to being a successful graduate, employer, entrepreneur, or even an alumni donor. So for ease of use, Future is just like any other social media. The difference is Future provides all the relevant stuff that is important to the higher education sector, like news and information on universities, courses, scholarships, internships, research collaboration, student and faculty exchanges, resumes, jobs, industry news, lifelong learning, alumni engagement and management, and even networking at all stages of your life. In short, eventually Future will include the entire higher education and career experience from leaving high school to retirement. So think of Future as the passport for life. It's free, and it is the only professional networking platform you'll ever need. So please sign up for Future and encourage your friends and peers to do so as well. Recently, we launched a new feature in Future to help you with alumni engagement and management service. Institutions of higher learning in many parts of the world have long underestimated the value of their alumni network. And we all know that investing in alumni relations can provide a high return on investment for an institution. A strong alumni engagement strategy is not built overnight, but fortunately, we can help your institution get started. As you can see from my slide here, there is a whole host of stuff that we can help you with your alumni engagement and management. And you can even design and customize your page on Future to reflect your institution's branding, like the demo of NTU Singapore here. Now you can read all the text later as the slides will be provided to you after this webinar. I just want to draw your attention to the 2 points in bold, and that is Future is currently globally accessible and Facebook is not accessible in China. And the second point is this is a free service, so please do take advantage of it. If in doubt, do ask for a demo. We can connect easily with you via Zoom. And to give you a heads up, we're now in the process of building an alumni relationship management system to help you manage your alumni more efficiently. And this, again, is a complimentary service. There are many more innovative ideas in the pipeline for Future. We aim to nurture the be-all and end-all of human capital, starting with high school, progressing through degree study, embracing professional career and lifelong learning. Another strategy for global branding is, of course, our physical events, but they need to be on hold now. To give you a quick introduction of our physical events, which also go by the brand Xchange, you can host an Xchange event by employment cluster or by subject, or you can host an Xchange by region, or even drill down to a specific country, example, Xchange Afghanistan. Depending on your priorities, we can organize events to suit you, and these events are an effective strategy for global branding and networking, and by God's will, we hope to resume in 2022. But for now, since we can't travel because of COVID, we started a series of Squaring the Circle debate webinars since early last year. It was fun, it was provocative, very refreshing, and I believe we are the most active in the online space with one webinar every month. Episode 5 on 3rd of November is our last one for the year, with the theme research is an essential aspect of all universities. Of course, we'll be continuing this series into 2022, so please look out for our emailers. Meanwhile, I hope you'll join us for this last episode of Squaring the Circle debate on the 5th of November. And another regular webinar that is alternating with Squaring the Circle debate is the Fireside Chat. Session 5 on 1st December is also the last one for the year, and the theme is Professional Education Institutes and Research Institutes are more effective than comprehensive universities. Like Squaring the Circle debate, we will be continuing the Fireside Chat series into 2022. And just like this year, we will have a webinar on every first Wednesday of the month, with Fireside Chat and Squaring the Circle debates alternating every other month, always on a Wednesday evening, always at 8 p.m. Singapore time. So please keep your monthly first Wednesday nights free. Hope to see all of you on the 1st of December for this last episode of the year for this Fireside Chat. In addition to the regular monthly webinars, we also organize bespoke webinars according to clients' topic of interest. So please check with us if you would like us to organize a webinar with your preferred theme. We will extend the marketing and handle all logistics for you. Please contact us if you're interested. Next, we have our e-newsletter, Extra Extra, again, unique to AppliedHE. Here, we can help you promote your institutional news on the global stage, and this is yet another complimentary service from us. All you have to do is send us your news that are extraordinary, and we will publish and promote it across all our marketing platforms to your targeted global audience. In the short space of time since our launch, we're now indexed by Google News. So this means our readership is growing rapidly. Therefore, this is a great and targeted medium to showcase stories from your institution to the world at no charge at all. Our third group of initiatives are the special events. The bite-sized online internship is under our special events, and we're currently running a pilot. This new initiative is the first of its kind, and it involves 3 groups of important stakeholders. They are your students, your university, and the employers. In short, for students, it will help them build a global network even before they graduate and connect with potential employers or industries before deciding on what they really want as a career. For universities, they will enhance the students' uni experience by exposing their students to an international online environment and connecting them to prospective international employers. And for the employers, they will have access to a diverse talent pool of top talent and original ideas. So you can see this new service is very innovative and creative and will definitely bring internships to a new level. Also under special events is the AppliedHE Fireside Chat with students. This is a unique webinar format that connects students to international employers, hence allowing students to gain insight into the recruitment process and employer expectations while providing employers with an opportunity to connect with talented students. This event is promoted globally, and it is a highly visible presentation of an institution's commitment to ensuring its students' international employability. Special projects is our 4th group of initiatives, and they're namely rankings. So in addition to launching Future, we also launched the Rankometer in January this year, a new ranking that is based on one single and transparent benchmark. To be precise, the Rankometer is a composite ranking of the world's 5 most influential world university rankings. Please look out for Rankometer 2.0 in the first quarter of 2022 for some very interesting results indeed. So with the launch of the Rankometer, we had good media coverage. And what this means is it adds credibility to the new kid, that's us, AppliedHE, as we've had many inquiries after. So this means if you're associated with the AppliedHE brand, your branding and global visibility will be greatly enhanced too. So with the recent success and excitement from the launch of the Rankometer, plans to launch more important and relevant rankings are in the pipeline. We're currently looking at launching the AppliedHE private university ranking by region, and we're launching the private university ranking for ASEAN first, with Central Asia in the pipeline. Another very unique ranking to look out for are the national rankings. We have plans to produce a national ranking for both the private and public universities in each individual country. Discussions with many countries are already in motion. So what are the national rankings? They are a ranking of the private and public universities in your country. Over my almost 2 decades with my ex-company, we have heard so many complaints that the current rankings are not fair because they're putting such heavy emphasis on international reputation and research, etc. While they're important, these criteria are less relevant to your students and mission, where the key concern is your students getting a job. So how can an institution succeed when the rules don't fit? So supporting the AppliedHE national rankings is your chance to rewrite the rules of the game in terms of university rankings, that is. The national rankings will help to attract and nurture the nation's best talent, taking employability to the next level. So now you can take this opportunity to change the narrative, change the discussion. You can be the rule maker and not the rule taker. We're looking for a local supporting partner in each individual country, so please contact us if you're interested. This is my second last slide, and I would like to leave you with a list of the first of its kind from AppliedHE. We have Future, the world's first professional networking platform, specially created for the higher education sector. Alumni engagement and management solutions, bite-sized online internship and fireside chat for students. And for rankings, we have the AppliedHE Rankometer for world university rankings, the AppliedHE private and public university rankings by country for the national rankings, and the AppliedHE private and public university rankings by region, of which we're launching the ASEAN private university ranking very soon. And this is my last slide, which gives you an overview of all the products and services that AppliedHE have created in the short space of time since our inception. We are indeed the new kid on the block, and as mentioned in my opening, we are nimbler, hungrier, and more sensitive to your needs. AppliedHE can help you with international branding and marketing, student recruitment, benchmarking, and a range of other solutions globally, that is global and local. So I hope you are as excited as we are creating all these new and innovative strategies for you. Please write to us if you have any questions or would like more information or even requests for demos. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mandy. Now it's time for us to go to the keynote address, which is delivered by City of University of Hong Kong Secretary to Council and Court and Director of the Institutional Research Office, Dr. Kevin Downing, who is also the chair of the AppliedHE Ranking Advisory Board. And he will be joined by the Malaysian Qualifications Agency CEO, Professor Dato Dr. Muhammad Shattar Sabran. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter. First of all, while you're getting my slides up the first slide up on the screen, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Kevin Downing. For a long time, I was chair of the Middle East and African Professional Leaders in Education Committee, and I was also served on the International QS Rankings Advisory Committee. I've written 3 books on ranking. I'm currently doing my 4th one. I would like to say that I'm now very proud to be chair of the AppliedHE Rankings Advisory body that's been partly responsible for redesigning rankings in a way which is somewhat fairer. I also, before I start, want to compliment Mandy for a very clear presentation. And of course, Dr. Safi, who I thought gave us an excellent insight into the current state of higher education in Afghanistan. And Dr. Safi, I really enjoyed that presentation. It was very informative, and I saw some very positive comments as well. So thank you very much. And I want to introduce my co-presenter, who will come in after I finish my bit, I can only describe him as a dear friend. He feels like a brother. I've known him for several decades. we've had some fun together, and from time to time, we've also had to cry on each other's shoulders. Dato Mohammed Shattar. So lovely to see you, Dato Shattar. Okay, so without further ado, I'll begin my very brief presentation. I'm going to speak for about 10 minutes, and then I'll be handing over to my colleague, Dr. Shattar. I'm going to preface my remarks by some of the issues that were raised by the group planning today's webinar. One is a question of what makes a university world-class, and how does a university ensure international recognition of its graduates? And we'll come back to that during the panel discussion. And also, what should be the priorities of universities in terms of their social and community outreach? I think most of us realize that the problem with the current big three rankings from Times, QS, and ARWU is that they only recognize one type of university in terms of being world-class. And that's a university very much research-focused, very much international, and normally from exceptionally well-established and well-heeled parts of the world. But there are other universities in our globe that are doing a wonderful job in terms of their social and community outreach. And I've been fortunate enough in my career to visit many of them, and I've been intensely impressed by the work that they do. So without further ado, I'm going to take you through a few slides just outlining the criteria for QS, Times, and Shanghai, used to be called Shanghai Jiao Tong, now ARWU. And then I want to talk a little bit about the new AppliedHE private university offering for ASEAN that my colleagues and I have been working on for some time with AppliedHE. So next slide, please, Simon. I can see the cursor working quickly there. Okay. All right. Let's begin with QS. It's probably the most popular one still in Asia and the Middle East. It employs, the world rankings for QS employs 6 performance indicators. Academic and employer reputation scores, so composite scores, 5-year scores, based on surveys commissioned by QS, actually put with a private company, but commissioned by QS. It also counts publications as a composite score, 5 years, and citations to those publications as a composite score over 6 years, all of which use Scopus as their database, using subject normalization to provide a more balanced reflection across subjects of impact scores. Now, if you take a look at these criteria, academic reputation makes up nearly half, and together with employer reputation makes up half of the whole ranking system. That's fine if you're based in the UK or even here in Hong Kong or US, but it's not so good if you're based in Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and 1 or 2 other countries around the world, because you don't have the opportunity normally, through no fault of your own, to promote your academic and employer reputation across the globe. You'll see faculty-student ratios at 20%. Well, of course, that favors those of us that can afford to employ significant numbers of faculty, because our governments and others are very generous with their budgets. Citations per faculty, once again, that's highly dependent upon our ability to recruit the very best quality academics so that they can produce the best papers and attract the largest number of citations. International faculty, that's very important, although a much smaller weighting, and international students, obviously exceptionally important. Both of those latter 2 indicators, of course, are very dependent upon the extent to which people want to come and live and work and study in your country. So let's move on to the next slide, please. Times likes to say that it's very different from QS, but actually it's not. Teaching reputation survey is 15%, research reputation 18%. Even with my maths, that adds up to 33%. In other words, a third is based on reputation, and the same, if you like, constructive criticisms apply as those that I identified with the QS ranking. Staff-student ratio is a little bit less at 4.5. Doctorate to bachelor's ratio, we heard from Dr. Safi that not many postgrad, if any, in Afghanistan. That carries a 2.25% weighting. And doctorates awarded to academic staff, 6%. Institutional income, 2.25%. Institutional income, whilst it can be scaled against GDP for the country, is not perhaps the best indication, in my view, of quality. Research income, 6%, research productivity, in other words, publications, 6%. Citations, again, carry 30%, highly dependent on whether you can afford to or can be attractive enough to really good international faculty with proven publication track records. International outlook, I've already made comments in relation to that in the last slide, and industry income. Again, that depends on the ability of industry in your country to make contributions to higher education. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, finally, Shanghai Jiao Tong, which is probably in many ways the least subjective of all of the current offerings, rankings. Quality of education, alumni winning Nobel Prizes and Fields Medals. Well, I've asked the question at various conferences over the years, anyone here got a Nobel Prize and a Fields Medal? And I think only one person out of probably 30 or 40,000 over those years has put their hand up and said, yes, I've got a Fields Medal. This is fairly elitist. Staff winning Nobel Prizes, field medals, same comment applies. Highly cited researchers, well, they don't come cheap, they're expensive. And so it's very hard to recruit highly cited researchers. We have some, but we pay handsomely for them. Papers published in Nature and Science, again, this is very much the elite in terms of publications. And papers indexed in Science Citation Index Expanded and Social Science Citation Index. That's research output. And then finally, per capita academic performance. So once again, it's probably not suitable for a country like Afghanistan, any of those big three. Let's move on to the next slide, please. There are currently no Afghan universities ranked in QS, none in Times, none in ARWU. Demonstrates the big three higher education ranking systems, or HERS, do not cater adequately for Afghanistan and many other countries. It is possible that in future, one or two Afghan universities might begin to feature in the big three, but I think most of us would agree after Dr. Safi's very clear presentation, this is unlikely over the short to medium term. So is there a ranking or rating that does or will cater for Afghan universities? Well, AppliedHE rankings are coming both at regional and country level. And shortly, I'm going to give an example of their ASEAN ranking for private universities, which is currently data is being collected and will soon be launched. And then my friend and colleague, Dato Shatar, will outline the excellent Malaysian Mqa rating system as a second part of this keynote, which I think together with what AppliedHE might be able to do is likely to be far more suitable to the Afghan situation. And I have to say, my experience of the Mqa is that it's an excellent system. And I have every confidence that under the chief executiveship of Dato Shatar, it will only improve still more. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, here's the new perspective. This is the private university ranking for ASEAN, which is coming out very soon. Next slide, please. And there are 6 criteria: teaching and learning, employability, research, community outreach, internationalization, and institutional reputation. Community outreach, you'll see, stands out significantly. And it's when you look at the weightings that you start to see real differences. Next slide, please. Okay, ranking criteria. That's a little bit small. I don't know whether it's possible to make it larger, Simon, but you will see here that institutional reputation is reduced to a mere 10%. Internationalization stays at around 10%. Community outreach, research is quite a low percentage. Community outreach features as a new indicator, and teaching and learning, which after all is what we're normally measured on in terms of quality, carries 40%, with employability, which is also important for the majority of our undergraduates, carries a 15% weighting. So you can see right away that this ranking is tailored to be fairer to those universities that have strong social community and learning and teaching missions. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, the data is collected through student surveys provided by AppliedHE, through bibliometrics using Google Scholar. Now, many of you like me, I have quite a few publications in Scopus, but when you look at Google Scholar, there are even more publications, because some of the journals that I published in don't necessarily appear in Scopus, but do appear in Google Scholar. Institutional data, which we verify by an interval sampling audit. One of the criticisms I've always had of the big three ranking systems is, although they say they do an audit, they don't do a proper audit. In other words, they don't take an interval sample, one every 50 universities, for example, and look in depth at the data that they've submitted. They do a cursory audit, usually by email, but not really anything more detailed than that. Can we have the next slide, please? I'm almost finished. Ranking data sources, therefore, are summarized in this slide. I won't go through it because you can read it as well as I can. And the next slide, please. Okay, if you want some further reading, this is a book I published in April of this year. It looks precisely at how rankings have impacted on us as universities. It provides insights covering 3 continents, which includes Asia and other parts of the world. It shows how universities have reacted to the explosion of rankings since 2004, what strategies they've adopted in order to succeed, what problems rankings cause for universities in the region. I've referred to some of them today, and what the future of rankings might look like. If you want a more in-depth view of what we've just talked about, this book will give you that. So next slide, please. Thank you very much for bearing with me. I hope you found that helpful. I'm now going to hand over to my friend and colleague, Dato' Shatar in Malaysia, and I hope you'll find, I'm sure you'll find what Dato' Shatar presents will be of value. Thank you, Dato' Shatar.
Okay, thank you, Calvin. Thank you very much for your great presentation as usual. And thank you also for Mandy and the rest of the participants. I think in my screen, I saw about 57 of them somehow watching our program today. So again, as what Calvin was saying in his introduction, I think we have been working together with QS ranking, more specific for the last few years. Before I'm here, I was the Deputy Vice Chancellor in UPM. I think back then I had been working with Mr. Kevin and also Mandy. Then I went to Education University in Tanjung Malim as a Vice Chancellor. And again, I have been working with Calvin and also Mandy. So before I proceed, I think the reason why I'm saying this, we like it or not, nowadays people, especially students, they will talk about ranking no matter what are you talking about. Based on my experience when I travel abroad, having an MOU, MOA, networking, one of the best questions or the first question that will be asked by those people, where are you in the ranking? So like it or not, you cannot escape you cannot run away from ranking. I know some people say ranking is not everything, but sorry to say, under this current scenario, students will see where you are in the world ranking before they decided to invest. So again, you can do it alone, but based on my experience working with University Putra Malaysia for the last 17 years, and also University Pendidikan Sultan Idris, University of Education in Malaysia for about 4 years as a Vice Chancellor, working alone without any help from QS company, or now we have a new guys coming in the block, AppliedHE, you will have a lot of difficulty to play the games in this ranking. So my suggestion, based on my honest experience, we have to work together. So now Mandy coming out with a very great criteria. Like it or not, people will use that criteria. So I think that's the reason why we are here today and discuss and how we can help each other. In terms of today's discussion, what can we do to help Afghanistan University so that one day in the future, your university will be at par, even though you're not going to be higher than Harvard, at least the university from Afghanistan, you have a great potential to be at the same level with other universities in the world. I mean, we in Malaysia, back like 64 years ago, we are not be like this. But now, most of our universities are one of the top 100 in the world, based as a result of the rankings, our participation in ranking. So I was being informed that today I need to share what we can do as a Malaysian qualification agency to help, especially in the higher education in Afghanistan, based on our practice back in Malaysia. Okay, just a little bit quick facts about Mqa, Malaysian Qualification Agency. We were being established in 2007. We changed the name in 1997 as Malaysian Quality Assurance Agency. So our main job literally is to be a global authority in quality assurance of higher education. At this particular time, we have about 20 public universities, more than 450 something private universities. And all these universities, they are under the umbrella of Mqa, because we need to ensure their quality is meet the standard of the international education quality. Because the reason why we are going to do that, because we need to attract more international students to come to Malaysia to pursue their higher education in this country. But in order to do that, we need to have a certain type of quality, because ranking, whether we like it or not, they are going to measure your quality based on the criteria presented by Kevin just now and also by Mandy in a couple of minutes ago. Again, so this is a brief, and of course we have even their provisional accreditation, full accreditation. These are all the part and parcel of academic qualification in this country. If you do not have all this accreditation, your student, your program will not be recognized, and therefore they do have problem whenever they finish the study or they graduate from the university. Okay, next slide is the function of Mqa. So these are more or less 6 of them. I'm not going to go all of them because this one, I think you can just go to our website, you can see and you can read by yourself. But again, our main thing is to ensure our higher education institution and program their quality. So as I said, ranking, whether you like it or not, the quality of education, you got to take care really good. If we have no quality, then ranking is not going to be in the picture. I know there are some argument outside there saying that ranking is nothing to do with quality, but it's not true. Quality and ranking, they go together. They hold hand, each other hand, really strong. So if you have a good ranking, meaning you have a good quality. You're not going to have a good ranking if you have no quality. So I would encourage my dear friend in Afghanistan to strengthen the quality of your education. And of course, in order to do that, we got to help each other. So of course, like Malaysia last time, we got help a lot from the European countries, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan. So we learn from all those universities how we can be at our situation, at our current standing at this particular time. So I think the same thing, I think Afghanistan can do the same thing. You take all the suggestion, ideas coming from the two great speakers that we have so far. We have Kevin and we have Mandy. So you combine all those ideas and then sit down. And of course, I'm sure all of us are ready to give our hand to help Afghanistan higher education institution sometime in the future. Okay, the new era of MQA. I introduced this concept whenever I'm joining this agency back in February 2021. I'm here for the last 7-8 months. So I introduced the new era of MQA. So what are the things that I introduced? Number one, we are somehow it's more dynamic now. So I do not want to be like the old traditional of MQA, like a body that just checking the quality of higher education in this country. Now we go beyond quality of education. We want to see what are the great potential programs, what are the networking that we need to have, how to ensure that our standard is always above all the time. So we are very flexible nowadays. We are like taking all into consideration in terms of directing or bringing Malaysian education in the future. Of course, nowadays, in the old days, drone was not even being discussed 10, 20 years ago. Now, drone is one of them. So, but yet, if you are looking at the universities nowadays, how many universities are producing degrees, diploma related to drone? Is very small, and that's why we as MQA encouraging those people to be as creative as possible in terms of coming out with the program and so on. Of course, we are not like the police. In the old days, people are so scared with MQA. Whenever MQA coming to their institution, they feel so scared because they know that they're going to be like a punishment really big from MQA. But now we are friendly. We open our doors. We open our hand. We come as facilitators. So we want them to be friendly with us. And of course, we have like 360-degree program. So we really encourage the university back here in Malaysia to look any potential program, the future program, so that we can offer a great program for the future graduate. Okay, next slide, please. This is our latest initiative. We call it Mqa Global. Again, if you want to be outstanding, you want to be popular, you want to be good, you have to go beyond your own country. I cannot stay here. All the universities that I told just now, like 20 public universities and 450 private universities in this country, they cannot just stay in the land of Malaysia alone. They need to go beyond that. You need to go to global perspective. So if you want to be recognized globally, then you have to do something. Again, Afghanistan University, you're not going to be popular. You're not going to be in the good ranking if you only stay in Afghanistan. You got to go outside Afghanistan. Not physically, you bring your university to outside Afghanistan, but the image, the picture, the product of Afghanistan higher institution abroad, at least let other people recognize what do you have back in Afghanistan. So again, MQA at our level, what we are doing now, helping all those higher education in this country to be assessed. One of the ways, one of the medium, how we're going to be assessed by QS, by AppliedHE. Those are the things saying where we are in the global maps. And of course, mutual recognition. Now we have been engaging with other quality assurance body from all over the world so that they recognize us, MQA, and the same thing, we're going to recognize them. So as a result of this recognition, Malaysian universities will have no problem to send their students, their staff for mobility, exchange, and so on. So that is our agenda for the future. And of course, as the agenda of Minister of Higher Education, we want to bring at least 250,000 international students to this country. And of course, if we want to do that, we got to bring our standard, our ranking, our image in a very good-looking way so that the student will come to this country. And of course, we introduce a lot of new product. We have our micro-credential. We have our APPEL, meaning accreditation of prior special learning. based on your working experience, that one can be converted to your diploma, degree, master, or even a doctorate program. And of course, we hope by having all this global, Mqa Global, we can send as many as possible, our graduate, our staff abroad. And in that case, whenever they talk about Malaysian university, other country will remember or will have heard the name. Like I remember, Kevin is always giving a great promotion to your PSI every time that we go for the conference, a seminar handled by QS in Taiwan, in the Middle East. They always mention UPSI, UPSI, UPSI. So seriously, after working 3-4 years in UPSI, now we are in the map of ranking. Before that, nobody knows who is UPSI. So that is the effect. So that's why I think I would encourage my friend, my dear friend in Afghanistan, take the opportunities, and I'm sure we are going to help you out so that you also be at the same level with other universities in the world. Thank you very much, Calvin. Mandy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dato.
Thank you very much, Dato Shatter. And I think now we go right into the panel discussion, partly because we're running a little bit out of time after so many interesting talks, and partly because we have a very power-packed panel for you today. So aside from the speakers, you already saw Dr. Safi, Dr. Downing, and Dato Shatter. We also have from Amman Arab University, the president, Professor Mohammed Al-Wijan. Professor Mohammed, are you with us? And then, of course, from Indonesia University's Airlangga, Dr. Dian Ekowati, who is the head of planning and development at Universitas Airlangga. Now, how we'll conduct the panel, we've got 3 topics that we want to get through, and I will put that question to all of the speakers. I'd actually like to start with Dr. Dian, because we haven't heard her voice yet, and then we will progress to the other speakers. The first question essentially is world-class universities and international recognition. How do you see that in a local context? Because on the local day-to-day running, that may not be your first priority, or you may only emphasize certain parts of it. So yeah, the first question to Dr. Dian.
All right. Thank you, Peter, for giving me an opportunity. Hello, everyone. My name is Dian. I'm from Universitas Airlangga in Indonesia. And we are currently, as we talk about the ranking, we are currently the 4th best university in Indonesia. And we are number 465 in the world under the QS ranking. And then with regards to Peter's questions about, like the meaning of the ranking into the local context, I do believe that ranking means a lot, even though like this is not the aim of every university in the world. But then again, as Professor Satar said previously, that you cannot get away from it, all right? So because everyone will take a look at it, and also everyone will ask. So even like in the local context, Universitas Airlangga try to build its competence and also improve its, this kind like the quality standards for every single aspect of either education, research, as well as the community service. And we will build our reputations based on that one. All right, so having the position as one of the best university in Indonesia, of course, it gives us an edge in gaining the collaborations for partners and also getting the opportunities to have more what it's called the collaborations, not only from the government side, but also from the industrial perspective. Because as you know, at the moment, the government of Indonesia set up what we call as an emancipated learning, or we call it in Indonesia as Merdeka Belajar, in a sense that it is, like the students can get freedom in choosing like their curriculums and also their subjects from different kind like a university. With that kind like reputations, with the competence and with everything, of course, the possibility of getting our students get a good job as well as get an opportunities to engage more with our partners are larger. All right. And
thank you so much for that. So, sorry, it was a wonderful answer, but we have many questions, many fantastic speakers. I'd like to pose the same question to Dr. Mohammed Al-Wijan, who is now with us in Jordan, I believe. the meaning of world-class and international recognition in a local Arabic or Jordanian context for universities. What does it mean to you? How do you look at it?
Yes, Peter. To me, when we're talking about world-class and reputable universities, I do think that rankings come into play. I think that, for example, the international component, and if we first of all agree on what are the kind of agreed upon globally, the mandate or the roles of higher education institutions around the globe are like teaching, research, and community relationship. So when we talk about world-class, as I indicated, I think rankings are one very good indicator for me. In addition to how well they play their roles, as I indicated, the teaching role, the research, and community relationship. From what I've seen from, for example, rankings, as I consider it a very important indicator of how the extent of how a given institution is world-class, is that community relationships are overlooked normally. I think what Mandy has just presented was the AppliedHE, I think, came in with covering this gap in a very good manner. So I think when you are world-class, this means that you are actually delivering very good education, meaning that many people come into your institution for study, and we're talking here about diversity, inclusion, etc. And then your research output actually solves the problems in the global context, not in the local. And then your definition of community must be globally oriented. That is my definition of what is my community, as for example, Amman Arab University, or as for example, Hong Kong University, or you name it. So I think this is kind of my perception, my basic perception of what a world-class university means. It has a brand, and all these are interlinked. When you have a good teaching reputation, and we have to admit though that, like the role of teaching and research in making an institution world-class are, I think, very well presented. But as I indicated, I think the AppliedHE came in a unique perception for a community relationship that lacks in other rankings.
Thank you so much for that comment. I would now like to pose the question again about what is a world-class university and what's the meaning of international recognition in an Afghan context to Dr. Barula Safi. And I think after that, we'll move on to the next question to Dr. Shattar and Dr. Kevin Downing. But now the floor to Dr. Barula Safi, world-class universities in an Afghan context.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. See, in Afghanistan, we consider university world-class when it has more of a research-based university rather than just typical university of teaching in the classes. So right now, most of the young generation and students are thinking, and they feel that a university is world-class when it is more involved in research and it is more involved in national level, having great collaborations and academic collaborations with the world, and teaching in English medium. Unfortunately, in Afghanistan, most of the universities, I can say 99% of the universities are teaching in national languages, which we have Pashto and Dari. Very few universities are offering courses in English language. For example, we have got American University of Afghanistan. That's a university funded by USA. So they have English language programs, English medium courses where the fees is so high. For example, in a typical Afghanistan universities, the fees for an MBA might be $2,000 per year. But if you study in American University of Afghanistan, it may be around $15,000. And the only difference is because they teach in English, and they have faculties from different parts of the world. So people consider a university a world-class university where they should have faculties from different parts of the world. They should be having great academic collaborations with institutions around the world, and they should be well equipped with the technologies, and also they should be very active in terms of giving placements. So these are the 3-4 factors that people consider them as the parameters for world-class universities in Afghanistan.
Thank you so much for that answer. It's very, very insightful, very interesting. I'd now like to move to the next kind of round of questioning, partly because Dr. Kevin and Dr. Shatta already told us a lot about what a world-class university is, so no point asking them twice. And the second round of questions is essentially about community outreach. What is the role that universities should play in community outreach? What are the best practices there? And how does it fit in a ranking context? And I'd like to ask if Dr. Kevin Downing can be the first one to respond to this.
Sure, thank you, Peter. Yeah, I think it depends. The priority for those universities in terms of social and community outreach depends upon the community in which they're situated. Let me give you a practical example. I'm quite familiar with Mahasarakham University in Thailand. I was very impressed when I visited there to see that they had students who were studying business, other students that were studying chemistry and biology come together to produce cosmetic products to start a cottage industry in the local community. Now, in that community, that was providing significant employment for the people in a small, quite isolated community. Whilst at the same time, they were maintaining the standards of the teaching and learning so that any of those students could go to any university in the world and study without feeling they were lagging behind their colleagues. So if you want my definition, you can see a bit more detail in the book I shared with you earlier, but my simple definition of world class is not dissimilar to Prof. Dr. Muhammad Al-Widian's, which is if you can place one of those students from one of those universities focusing on social and community outreach into any international university, and that student does not struggle, then you are world class. And so what we're looking for is acknowledging the local social and community needs, whilst at the same time recognizing that some of the students will want to join what Dato Shatta refers to as the more global academic community.
Okay, great. Thank you for that insight. Now, Dato Shatta, I think this is a very good teamwork between Dr. Kevin and Dr. Shatta today. Please finish his sentence, I would say. You're on mute at the moment. Somebody has pressed unmute.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to continue the sentence from Dr. Kevin. Of course, for me, I mean, like, of course, being globally recognized, it's not purely just based on, the academic per se. So that's why in this country, I keep saying to the university, you cannot make your universities an island. You are good just within your own people. It's no use. I mean, there is no use for you to be the top 100 university in the world, but the communities around you will not get nothing. So that's why it's so significant. While you are struggling for the ranking, being the top 100 of the world, having all the criteria that we mentioned earlier, but at the same time, the community nearby, or at least in your own country, will benefit. For example, like research university, they come up with all those bunch of research product and all those great things. What are the benefits given to the communities? They need to answer that one. If they fail to answer the question, then the society will not feel anything about their existence, and they're not going to be proud of being the top 100 in the world if they say, no, it's nothing to do with me. So that's why we need to get the bridge together, link those two important points together. Once we can do that, then the whole nation, the whole society, like Malaysia now, if we see the list every time QS coming out with the list, everybody is so excited to see where we are as a university. So at least you want to see some of the universities in this country to be the top 100, then everybody feel happy. And the reason why they feel happy, because your presence at university being felt by the people in this country. That's why I think for me, the society is your social lab. You do have your physical lab in your campus, but don't forget people like us. We are your lab also, but test on us. You know, your product, if we like it, then you will get support. And that is where the reputation coming in. I know Calvin was teaching me how, you know, you can get the reputation. Keep calling, asking them, how do you feel? How do you feel about our product? And that is the best way of promoting your university to the world. Thank you.
Dr. Shatar and Peter, can I just add one thing? I'm not just saying that only those universities that might not necessarily be regarded as world-class should have social community outreach. And I'm going to give you an example from my own university. Many of you may have heard of a company called Pronetics. It's probably the world's largest supplier now of PCR tests for COVID-19. It's our Vice President Research, Prof. Michael Yang. He founded Pronetics at City University of Hong Kong. So the chances are when you go to the airport and have a PCR test, it was produced by City University of Hong Kong. Now, initially, that PCR test was just meant for local use. But as Dato Shatar has explained, we've been able to leverage that, and now it's international. When I had one in Heathrow, it was a Pronetics test.
Yeah, globalization, yet local impact, going global. It's a very complex, but very interesting story. I'd now like to circle back to Dr. Dian and then Professor Alvidjan. Yeah, community outreach in the context of university excellence, rankings, ratings, etc.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Our university for this period have the tagline of optimizing value added and also contributing significantly in local, national, and global levels. And with that things in mind, our university initiate what we call as a World University Association for Community Development, which basically gather around many members of the consortiums, or what you call it, it's a consortium, yeah. So and we try to give back to the society as much as possible, and we do believe that every single aspect of both, I mean, like the three aspects, the educations, research, and community development or services should be linked together to make this kind like an impact grows larger, and that's actually meaningful for being and enlarging the contributions of the university to the society. So basically what we are doing at the moment, we are trying to focus on our local strength, local wisdom, and use it for the needs of helping out our surrounding community, because we are living in a coastal area. So we focus more on the green and also blue governance issues, and try to make, like a more a significant empowerment for the community in that sense.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. I also see that Dr. Safi is back with us. So he will be after Professor Alvidjan, and the question of this moment is a community outreach in the context of university rankings, etc. Professor Alvidjan, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Peter, again. Well, I don't fully go with this notion of, universities, community relationship being unilateral or one directional. In fact, my notion of this thing is a bilateral or two directional relationship. That is, the university to be world class, I agree completely, that must have an impact on the community around, and my definition of community can extend it to a global context. But I believe that the picture cannot be complete without, having kind of a healthy relationship in a manner that the community itself also benefits the university. They can send, for example, distinct lecturers. The university can use facilities in the community. They can benefit from donations, chairs, whatever you want to, donations or endowments, etc. So I think my perception of This thing is that, of course, we all agree that universities must play a role in developing their communities and, for example, providing services, training to the youth to prepare them for the workplace, lifelong learning opportunities. But at the same time, I do believe that it is exactly at the same level of importance that community, I think, helps this institution that contributes to the development of them by providing back some services that benefits the institution as well. So absolutely, this has, I think, completes the picture and contributes definitely to a university in becoming distinguished in outreach. I think even the term implies outreach means it might go or be linked to the social responsibility of the institution, which is okay, as I indicated, but I do believe that the cycle, we must complete the loop, and the community helps the university with some contribution.
Great, thank you so much for that answer. Dr. Safi, community outreach at universities in Afghanistan. What is the role? How do you view it? What do you want to share with the world? You are muted at this time. We cannot hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much. See, the situation in Afghanistan is very different considering the situations, political situations and economic situations in Afghanistan. All the universities are now trying to implement lots of new strategies and policies in order to be like other universities in the regions. Our Ministry of Higher Education, especially having a great relationship with Malaysian government, and lots of our professors and staff from the Ministry of Higher Education went to Malaysia in order to complete a course on quality assurance, in order to develop the university's world class, which is this community reach of the universities. So still we are working. It is not so good, it is not so bad, but it's in progress. And universities are trying to be like other universities in the world, in the region, in order to have a strong relationship with the community, in order to build a kind of relationship where the students should have a reach and should have access to everything happening in the society. For example, in Afghanistan, many of the universities, they are, especially private universities, they are basically running on, they are basically functioning on a renting building or basically apartment. So many of them don't have their own campuses. So we are basically still striving, still trying out to be in a position in order to have at least our own campuses. So one problem is, in a way, for example, lots of the universities, they are having lots of community programs. They have lots of sports events. They have lots of other events for the students. Where in Afghanistan, we do have them. We are working on them, and still we need time to make them perfect and to make them accessible. Thank you.
I understand huge challenges in Afghanistan, but opportunities as well. Yeah. Now, I'd like to move on to the final topic for this panel discussion, and that is alumni relations. Out of the interest of time, I'd ask you to maybe formulate your comment as a piece of advice that you can give the audience members here. Alumni relations is kind of a hot topic. Many universities are trying to do more, but not that many of them have quite cracked it yet. So that is essentially the question. And I'd like to start with Dato Chattar, then Dr. Downing, Dian, Professor Awijan, and then Dr. Safi. Dato Chattar, coming from the MQA, what's your #1 tip for alumni relations management? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Up to my dear friend, Dr. Safi in Afghanistan, I like to share this wonderful words. Problems are the opportunity to success. So great, take that words. You can fly very high. I can believe that. Okay, again, back to this alumni thing. For me, for the Malaysian perspective, alumni are the greatest asset for anything that you are talking about the universities, for job opportunities, for graduate equality, for ranking, because like for the Malaysia since 67, when we got the 57, when we got the independent, we have hundreds of thousands of alumni outside there, both local and international. So if we can tap them, then they can help you to fly really high. Your ranking can go overnight from 0 to hero. So use them, engage with them, take care of their heart really good while they are at the university. So when they left the university, they will remember us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Downing, yeah.
Yeah, my advice very similar, very straightforward. Any university that doesn't value its alumni above everything else doesn't have a future. Alumni are the key to a university's reputation and to its future.
Okay, very clear. Dr. Ekwati.
Thank you, Peter. My final statement, I think, is that the alumni for the university is actually one of the critical part in the ecosystem for graduate success. So university needs to learn a lot from its alumni, not only to get informations, like relevant informations about what to improve as for the educational process per se, but also engage with the alumni for the lifelong learning and also more collaborations as they are part of the community.
Great, thank you very much. And Professor Alwijan, your advice from Jordan?
Yeah, well, from Jordan, I don't think in general that we are doing a good job at all in this aspect. I think alumni are one of the most important stakeholders for any higher education institution. My advice would be, I think AppliedHE provides a unique practical opportunity through their tool to, I think, affect and utilize this component in a very good way.
Thank you so much. And then I think the final response for this panel discussion, Dr. Safi, your advice concerning alumni management.
Thank you so much. This is so important. I agree with the panelists. It's so important, but again, I have to say that especially when I took this position as the chancellor, I came last year in October and appointed as a chancellor. I started working on this scheme in our own university with interacting with alumni and trying to bring them in order to interact with the freshers, in order to interact with the current students of our university. So again, this concept is very new in Afghanistan, and lots of private universities, unfortunately, government universities are not doing this, but private universities are trying to, some of the private universities are trying to work on this, and it is so result-oriented and so useful and beneficial strategy in order to boost and in order to motivate students, in order to give them a future prospect that if you study from these institutions, you can see yourself in this position. So still we are working on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now it's my turn to thank all the panelists for sharing all of their insight from Malaysia, from Afghanistan, from Jordan, from Hong Kong, and from Indonesia. And now it's my turn to present. So let's hope that the screen share works. And I will give you a quick summary of all of AppliedHE's rating and ranking systems. Here we go. Yes, so yeah, this is a little bit of a summary of what we've been talking about this morning or this afternoon. Essentially, the question that we try to answer with our rankings and ratings is what makes a university good? And that, of course, depends on who you ask. It depends on the students. As mentioned, it depends on the community that you serve. It depends on what everybody's expectations is. So as decision makers at a higher education institution, perhaps in Afghanistan, you need to decide which evaluation tool best fits with your values. Now, we produce rankings and ratings that you can look at. Well, and now something goes wrong. Okay. I pressed the wrong button. That happens. See, I was hoping this wouldn't happen. Where is my? Oh, there we go. not a problem. So yes, we have rankings and ratings, and I'll start with the rankings that were already briefly mentioned. So there is a rankometer where we basically remix the QS, the Times Higher Education, and the academic ranking of world universities. I think for Afghanistan, this is not as relevant for the simple reason that there are no Afghan universities yet in these rankings, which, as we mentioned before, are very research heavy. Now, we, of course, want to redefine the ranking concept to focus on criteria that we think are more relevant for the countries and markets we serve. And that is where the AppliedHE private university ranking ASEAN comes in as a kind of first project. And we hope this will be followed by a university ranking AppliedHE Afghanistan or Central Asian region or what have you. Now, the ranking criteria that we look at are teaching and learning, first and foremost, employability, research, and then to a lesser extent, community outreach, internationalization, and institutional reputation. And depending on the country that we're serving, we would change the weightings of these criteria and we would come up with additional criteria. So it's possible that for Afghanistan, there's a very strong data set, or there are certain issues which are much more relevant to a ranking in Afghanistan. So we would consult with the local stakeholders to develop a ranking that is really relevant to the country. As mentioned by Kevin as well, we do student surveys. We use Google Scholar, which is a much broader database, and we do our institutional data audit. So yes, it's a good reason to join our rankings if you have the opportunity to join them.
Excuse me, Peter, if you can, if you mute everybody except yourself,
yeah,
would be great.
I will try and do that. Yes. But this is not the right, yeah. Presenting and unmuting people is a bit difficult. If you can please unmute yourself. I'm so sorry for the sound. Now, in addition to the rankings, we also have ratings. We have a job ready rating, which is a kind of 360-degree look at learning and employment. We have our English ready rating, which focuses specifically on English as a medium of instruction. So this might be very relevant perhaps for Afghan universities that are teaching in English and are interested in attracting English-speaking students from abroad. And on top of that, we have the online ready rating, trying to develop a benchmark for the quality of online learning, because there can be huge differences between institutions. Now, we've rated a number of institutions around the world, primarily or mainly in Asia. Very quickly, the job ready rating. So the ratings are paid services, just so that you're aware. It focuses on careers, learning, community, and industry collaboration. It's very versatile, going from vocational diplomas to postgraduate degrees. So if you're a university in the room in Afghanistan, wondering about the different, where you fit, you will definitely fit within this rating. And it's interdisciplinary. As Mandy mentioned, we have 22 employment clusters so that you can compare yourselves. So these are the areas we look at: outcomes, delivery, and also the quality of the institution. And you see there the Sustainable Development Goals, which is a very popular measure these days. In addition to producing our rating, we also produce a kind of mini SDG report for you. That is what we're working on currently. So that will be out soon once we release the final results for the job ready rating. We do our rating based on surveys of students, of faculty, of alumni and employers, and also some institutional data. So it's a very much an all-round perspective of the rating system and of your institution. Now, these are the 22 employment clusters, as Mandy mentioned, and it's important to note those because students tend to pick their employment cluster before they pick their university. So it's very important to distinguish between that. And also, universities are not always great in every area. I mean, Mqa Global University has a law school, has a medical school. They might be at different levels. So it doesn't make sense to combine them all if you're trying to rate them. Now, it's important to note that a ranking really looks at your global standing. Where do you fit in a kind of global competitive picture? But the job ready rating is about the perception of local stakeholders. So you might not really fit in a ranking, but you can still fit in a rating because it's really what the local stakeholders think about your institution And so that is where the rating distinguishes itself and can become very useful. Other than that, there is a lot of overlap in criteria. Of course, the rating is much more thorough, much more in-depth, because we simply can't collect that much data with the ranking. Now, the English Ready rating, we're actually the first kind of global standard for English taught programs. We look, it's useful for recruitment, and it's also useful for understanding the perception of stakeholders. Now, what do we look at? We don't check the level of English at your institution, but we do check the frequency at which English is used, the intensity of different course components that are available in English, and the quality of English as perceived by students and faculty. So it's a very comprehensive look that a university can use to benchmark to see where it stands. Because as you might imagine, sometimes an English taught program is just the textbook being in English, or just the slides being in English, but the actual delivery exams not being in English. And so that's a concern. So that is what we're trying to benchmark here. And again, we use student and faculty surveys and institutional data. Now, the online Ready survey, rating has a similar philosophy. There is so much diversity in what online learning is that we wanted to set a benchmark, and we've done that with the online Ready rating. So here we look at course delivery, we look at the learning support provided, the faculty, and also the examinations, whether there's video proctoring, whether credits transfer. So again, very much making sure that all the mechanics are there and that the quality of delivery, that students and faculty are satisfied with it. So again, a student survey, a faculty survey, and institutional data. And doing this every time is very helpful to kind of verify all of the results that you get from different stakeholder groups. Now, generally, our rating process is very fast. It's not like an accreditation, which can take many, many months of preparation. Then you have the accreditation, etc. All of it is done online. And yeah, as you can see, we can literally do it in about 2 months. So it's a very fast, it's a fairly light touch tool, which at the same time gives you tremendous depth of data about your institution, etc. If you want to have a look at our surveys, we have some demo surveys that are online. And yeah, then a few more words about the rating being just the beginning. We don't just give you a score or a grade, say, oh, okay, congratulations, you're rated, shake hand, go away. No, we do much more than that. So first of all, we give you a lot of data about your own institution, which you can further analyze, further use for quality improvement, etc. So it's very useful to have these key performance indicators and know where you stand relative to other institutions. Now my slide is not running. Oh, we give you lots of promotional materials, promotional opportunities also on our websites, our social media platforms. We do a press release that's distributed worldwide through Google News. So you get all of these tools where you can really use your ranking for rating for having the rating, for promoting your institution, and then also for benchmarking. Thank you so much. And I really apologize for the little bit of background noise. My kids are being very good and playing, and they've been very good being quiet until now. Thank you so much. Now we go to the closing remarks, and I believe that is first Dr. Safi and then Mandy. Do I have that correct? Yes, yeah. So Dr. Safi, the floor is yours for the closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would like to thank panelists, especially the CEO of AppliedHE, and especially Peter Steck for showing lots of patience during inviting the participants, sending them invitation, motivating them to participate in this event. I'm very sure that it was great support and it was very, very special efforts given by you people in order to see the successful success of this event. I'm very thrilled and happy and expressing my gratitude to the entire team and to the panelists and to the participants from different parts of Afghanistan, our own technical team, our IT team, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Khalid Noor, and also some of our partners who participated in this event. I'm very sure that this event is so useful for our universities in Afghanistan When we don't understand the value of something, it's very simple that we ignore them. But when we understand that rating is so important, ranking is so important, once somebody like you people come and tell them that ranking, rating, this give you this benefits, then people will always run after them. I'm very sure that after this event, lots of the universities, private universities in Afghanistan, will be looking for such kind of events and collaborations with this great institutions, AppliedHE. And I'm very sure that there are lots of benefits that we can avail these benefits for the betterment of our university in terms of quality. Thank you so much once again, and thank you so much for your entire time, for your support, for your welcoming attitude and helping us during critical time. Especially, we love you all, that you came across and helping Afghanistan in this very, very hard time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for your time today. I hope you've enjoyed the presentations and panel discussions and find all the information useful. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our host, Mqa University. Thank you, Dr. Barula, Safi, Dr. Noor, Khalid Noor, and your awesome team for graciously hosting AppliedHE launch in Afghanistan. Big thanks also to all our speakers and panelists for their very insightful sharing and thought-provoking knowledge. And all this is possible because of you, the audience. Thank you for taking the time to join us today from Afghanistan and beyond. Although this marks the end of this webinar, I hope to see all of you soon, online of course, at our next webinar, Squaring the Circle debate with the theme, Research is an Essential Aspect of All Universities, on the 3rd of November at 8 p.m. Singapore time. See you all soon.
Thank you so much.